Hello.
How are you?
Not too bad. Not too bad. William, is that you? I can't see you.
It is me. Oh, hello, sir.
Hey.
All right. So you're fixing up your presentation right now. I'm sure you'll be with us in a second as far as that goes. But how are you doing, man?
I'm alive and kicking, like always, you know. You guys seeing my screen?
Yes,
Now
we are.
We are.
Awesome. You look well,
All
sir.
right. I look well. I'm not sure. I've been drinking for 2 weeks in Portugal. Not sure if I'm totally well, but I'm okay, let's say. I'm okay. And you guys?
Have you been in Portugal? Been in Portugal since February? You've been in Portugal the entire time?
No, Jesus, no. I arrived 2 weeks ago. Just holidays and family stuff, whatever.
Nice.
So yeah.
Beautiful.
So you guys are the two hosts of the show?
Well, apparently.
That's right.
That's what they tell us.
We're here to introduce guys like you.
Right.
We're going to drop some knowledge on us.
Good. And you speak Russian now as well?
I think we have a translator. I think we have a translator. We need to brush up on our Russian a bit.
Yeah, we didn't quite have time to study up on the Russian.
All right, okay. I was gonna say like, guys, you really impressed me. You learned Russian in like 3 months. That's really impressive.
Now, we're the English-speaking global stage, William. Of course, we have a Russian stage and a Portuguese stage as well. So we've got all the communications covered for our audience today, and we couldn't be looking forward to your presentation more. Is it going to be in English or Portuguese this morning?
No, it's going to be in English. I did the presentation in English, and I will be talking in English. I could do Portuguese as well, but let's keep it simple for everybody.
Perfect.
Cool. Awesome.
They have a lot of audience in.
We don't have the exact numbers with us on how many people are in. We see the chat activity is certainly getting heated up inside the chat rooms. So we're looking forward to some good questions, hopefully after your presentation. If you are ready to get started, I think we could be ready to get underway.
But listen, for me, it's whenever you guys want.
All right, take it away. We're giving you the conch, man. It's all you. Let's go.
So I can start here?
You want to introduce? Did you introduce?
We already introduced them. Yeah. We'll do it one more time for anyone that came in late, but we're ready to watch our second presentation of the day. International speaker performing on the global stage, William from XCASH. William's going to get us acquainted with his experience and offer tips about the most effective methods of monetization in dating today. Should you be pushing offers directly or via an API? That's a question a lot of affiliates are asking these days. So without further ado, William, take us away.
Thank you. Thanks for the introduction, buddy. Nice to see the two of you here. Thank you for everyone being here. Thanks for the organization, first of all. And I will just jump right in. So I'm William from XCASH. I have been in dating for about 8 years now, always on the advertiser side. And XCASH, as you probably know, it's a large dating affiliate program, dating advertiser in Europe. So we cover a lot of geos in Western Europe. And we work a lot direct traffic, and also we do a lot of business via API. I was approached to do this presentation because there is more and more question, and even if everybody heard of the word API, or at least most of you heard of it, it's still a lot of question about what is API, how do we do it, how different it is, and why is it good or bad. So I'm just going to do a brief. So it's a 20 or 30 minutes presentation. So I won't say I will go too in deep with everything, but please hit me up during the presentation for the question, or even after. You will have my contact details, and we can go much more like in depth with everything. So let's get started. So I want to cover a few points, and the topic, as we said, is really like dating. Should we push via direct offers, so the conventional way, or via API? So I'm going to really talk first about what is the difference and what is the pros and cons of each method. Then I will kind of briefly show how to start. Everybody or most of them know how to start on direct, but maybe like a few tips and tricks about how to start on API can help. And then I will just share, so I said some tips, but it's really more about some idea I have, some personal experience in the sphere, and what do I know and what do I, let's say, like advise about API. Okay, let's get going. So the first point is really, what is the difference between pushing offers directly and pushing offers via API, and the pros and cons. So what is the goods and the bads of those two different methods? So I'm sure in the audience, everybody listening to me ever heard and even ever did direct campaign, because if not, I don't think you will be listening to it. So really like a direct campaign, pushing campaign directly is you just send a click to a link which is provided. So the link can be, as per se, yours if you have your own platform and you tracking on your own side. It can be your own volume link, or it can be just an advertiser giving you his own link and you push it to them. But it's very like simple. You get this link and you just start to push traffic. So it's a very conventional way of working. Everybody work like that. Everybody understands what it is, and there is really no much discussion about it and about like how to get going. One thing, so some of the affiliate send directly to the offer. Some of the affiliate send to their own pre-landers in dating, and then like from the pre-landers goes to the offer. Depending on which of these two you are in, you're going to actually, if you send directly to the offer, the flow is really optimized by the advertiser at this side. So they know what works best based on their big data. They kind of have a pool of let's say like performing landing page, performing credit card page, performing flows, and they will really guide you into it. And the link they will give you will be much more of an insight on their side than on your input. And then even if you have your own pre-landers, you will kind of, let's say, control part of the flow. But then when the user arrive on the offer page or on the landing page, then on the offer page and the credit card page, it's really controlled on this side by the advertisers. So it's good because they know what they're doing. Advertiser, like we really always like want the affiliate to do best, because that's on our best interest at XCASH and for all the other advertisers. But it's also like give a bit less freedom for the affiliate. Last one, which is a good pro, I would say, it's really like often the payout. So it really depends on which business model you work. If you work on rev share, or if you work on PPL, or if you work on PPS. But often, at least for the acquisition model, I'm not going to talk about the rev share, but if you work on PPL, or if you work on PPS, or if you work on pay-per-trial, often, at least at first, the payout can be higher on the direct linking than on an API, just because it's really like much more trust. The advertiser actually control what's happening. He knows exactly the funnel. So he can have a much, let's say, like bigger picture than when people do API, and he's got much less vision of what the affiliate is doing. So in terms of the API now, when people say we send like traffic via API, first of all, we need to understand that that's not sending a click. You actually are posting information to the advertiser, the partner server. So it requires some technical integration. Some API documentation are very simple. Some can be more complicated. It also depends what are the requirements of the advertiser. Some advertiser might just require the user agent, the email address, and the IPs. Some might require as well the gender. Some might require the date of birth. So that's really like on a case per case basis. So every time you integrate a new API partner, you need to do a new integration, and you really need to like think it as you will have some, let's say, dev time required as of just from direct linking, just getting a link, putting it on your like ad network you're buying traffic from, and just like pushing traffic right away. Now, the good side of it is the fact that you really now control everything. So when I say everything, obviously everything up until the lead is posted to the advertiser. So what does that mean? You can create your own landing page. You can create your own funnel. You can like do what you want with this user. You can post it to the advertiser. You can even keep it and not send it right away. So you are control of the user, and you can build whatever you want around it. And then you send it to the advertiser when you believe it's required. So it can, sorry, there is some echo. Okay. This combined with the next point, which is the cascading, it's really some important thing about API. So because here we are not just sending a lead we are really like posting a user, or at least posting some information to the advertiser. The advertiser is allowed to say, yes, I want this lead, and he replied to you like an okay response, or he can deny this lead. So he can deny this lead because you already have it in his database. He can deny his lead because the email domain is not the right one. He can deny his lead because you only accept male and you send female, whatever it can be, but this can be denied. Now, comparing to the direct traffic, when you send a click, it's very binary. Or the click converts, or the click doesn't convert, but the flow stops there. On an API, if the lead is rejected, you can just like cascade it. So try to post it to your second advertiser and your third advertiser and your fourth advertiser up until someone accepts this lead. So it's much less waste, because we all know that in dating, like in many other verticals, our users do not just sign up once in their lifetime to a dating site, to a product. They really sign over and over again, like to different products. And so if this user already been to this advertiser, you have at least a chance to convert it somewhere else, rather than just like losing the payout because it's a duplicate lead on a direct campaign. Aside of that, and because you are posting data away to advertisers, I mean, you need to collect this data. And now you're really starting to understand the value. You're going to keep something. You're not just going to send something to someone else. You're also keeping this information for yourself. So a lot of people really do API and they don't really see the value of it. So they keep the data, they have the data, but they don't really use it. And it's many different ways you can really use the data. The first one is really like to really segment your traffic, and to not just post, send click to people like whichever, it's Germany, I'm going to send to this offer, but you can really start to collect data and look at, okay, this is this type of email domain or this type of IPs, and really start to create some cohorts on your side to better target your audience. The second thing is really the fact that if you can retarget those users, so if you can do emailing or SMS or whatever, whichever kind of method of targeting and of like marketing you have, like marketing, you can reach those users after a day, after 2 days, after 3 days, and try to get some extra revenue out of it by really, let's say, squeezing this lead. And this one just needs some good campaigns to be able to retarget and send this user to different campaigns. The last thing which can be done because doing SMS marketing, doing email, often people tell me, yeah, but it's hard. I'm not an expert. It's not my core business. Fair enough. You can find a lot of people around, which we are one of them, which will take your data and will monetize data for you. We really help you to monetize the data and just like increase your revenue per user for each of those API leads you collected. So that's really are the few, let's say, pros and cons of each one. You will see after. I am a big API fan, so I always find much more, let's say, like good side of the API, because when you're an affiliate and you pay for your traffic, I totally believe that you should not just send a click and wait for it. I really believe that you should own something and you should keep using what you just paid for. Right, so how do we start? The direct one, again, it's pretty easy. You get the link, you set up your campaign, and you just press the button play and you look at your KPIs, you scale, you downscale, you pause, you whatever it is, like in your media buying strategy. But it's really like let's say, a straightforward action. So I'm really putting here about setup campaign and scaling or for media buyers. But if you have SEO site and you push traffic via SEO, it's the same. If you have social traffic, it's the same method you're following when you do like direct linking. Now on API, the first thing, and it might sound a bit silly, but the first thing is you need to find people which accept API. You need to find those API partner, because not everybody accept API traffic, and not everybody accept API traffic maybe for the model you want or for the type of business you have. Some people accept API on PPL, some only on PPS, some only on rev share, and some have got a lot of condition for it. Some of them might even ask you to say, okay, you need to send traffic for me for a month, 2 months, 3 months. I need to see the quality of your traffic on direct linking, and then I will be able to give you some API documentation. So one of the part of the job is to find those partners, those reliable partners. When that is done, you really need, because when you do API, you really need to own your funnel. So you're going to have to create, compared to like this direct linking, you're going to have to create your own strategy. So what do I mean by strategy? I really mean like owning your own funnel. From when the moment you generate the click in your banner, let's say if you do like this media buying campaign on display, from the moment you generate the click, your own pre-lander or landing page depend, and then your own posting at this moment to the advertiser. That's step one, of course. But then also, like I mentioned before, the life cycle. What do we want to do with this post if it gets denied? What is the cascading strategy we have? Who we post it to after? And then when it gets accepted, very good. But then what do we do with this lead tomorrow, the day after? What do we actually collect on the form? If we have an advertiser which just want, let's say, email, user agent, and IP, do we really just want to collect that? Or maybe actually you want to collect also gender and you want to collect the phone number for further use. So you don't really have to follow only the guideline of the advertiser. You can collect as much data as possible and just post whatever is required by the advertiser. And then the lead lifecycle is really, okay, you can post the lead today, let's say on PPL DOI to an advertiser, and then 24 hours to 72 hours later, you can post it again to a second advertiser. And then maybe a week later, you can post it to a third one on RevShare and keep trying to squeeze this lead. And after that, you can also have a strategy to, if you do emailing or if you do SMS campaign, you can also have a strategy to reach those users by different channels and push them this type of offers, like other dating campaign, or even totally different type of offers, building some cohort. And if some of your user collected on dating start to click on, I don't know, I'm going to say like, let's say Nutra, some pills campaign, just put them as interested for this product in your cohort and start to also push those offers. So it's really like, you really need to think before starting your campaign to the whole strategy, how I'm going to collect, what information I'm going to collect, where I'm going to send the user, how I'm going to send it, like, and which cascading behind it. And then when this first part is done, the rest is now what I'm going to do today, tomorrow, and the day after to keep squeezing some more revenue out of those data I collect. From that, you really need to understand that the KPIs, of course, is the same. And I never really try to say, okay, you should look at CRs or ROI or EPC. My experience, people look at very, very different KPIs. You know your business, you know your own KPIs. I will not advise you which KPIs you should be looking for. However, one thing is true is like for API campaign, you need to adapt those KPIs a little bit compared to your direct one. So a very easy explanation is like that. Let's say you push campaign on PPL DOI with an advertiser, and your ROI is, let's say, 40%. Like you're on positive 40% or 140% like ROI. So you're making a okay margin. You're happy with it, and then you want to do exactly the same with exactly the same flow and do it on API. You get the same payout, maybe or maybe not, and you're gonna start to run campaign. If you actually post the user with the same kind of flow only to this advertiser, so it doesn't change anything, the KPI should be matching. But if you start to try and squeeze this lead, so if you post it today to those guys and tomorrow to someone else, and then the day after to someone else, and then you also kind of email this data aggressively, the value you're going to get from advertiser one might be lower. So your KPI needs to be adjusted because you're really trying to squeeze those leads. However, the overall value, what you get from advertiser 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus your email campaign plus your monetization on SMS will be higher. And that is something that I really want to emphasize. It should be, sometimes it doesn't happen, but most of the time your ROI should be higher than the direct campaign. And then as soon as you find this, let's say like this tuning for your KPIs and you start to understand what are the variance, and on this level, I can talk to people which are interested in the KPIs and the numbers of it. But it's really like a study of variances. You really study the delta of your difference between direct campaign and API campaign, and then you can adjust your KPI based on this variance calculation. When that is done, you monitor your campaign like on direct web and you scale. It's really like the same way to scale. You can really scale, let's say, up. So the campaign is working and you just buy more traffic and you just like try to get more and more volume for this campaign. You can also scale slightly differently. You can start to, instead of just getting more traffic, you can also try to get the same amount of traffic, but just post it and try to squeeze it more and more. So when you scale on API, you can scale getting more volume, or you can scale getting more revenue from the same volume. It's not quite scaling, but I like to put it together because it's really two different strategies which should be working together. And then what I said, because again, it's really this, the strategy of API is to connect to the most of people. When you start to have something profitable and you're happy, keep plugging more API advertiser and keep doing it. You will increase your ROI for sure. The more people you have in your cascade and in your funnel, the more likely you will get someone which wants this new lead and will pay you big bucks for it. Okay, so I'm not sure where we are now. This is really like some, let's say, tips and some of my personal experience. When you talk to people and you integrate an advertiser, make sure you understand what does he accept or not, what is his rules to accept and refusing lead before a campaign. Some people might just refuse women. Some people might just refuse over than 25, some below 25 years old. Some people might just refuse some counties. So you need to be able, because you need to build the correct strategy for your cascading, you need to be able to understand what those people want on API or not. Having in mind that we are posting those information to the advertiser, and the more criteria the advertiser wants, the more likely he can segregate the leads and accept or refuse your leads. So I also say you need to really make sure, and that's something which is often overlooked, because it's a server to server post. You need to make sure the post happen very fast and the API is responding very fast. So you don't get, and I see it on the flows of people, a blank page for a couple of seconds and then the leads redirect. It's really breaking the flow. And if you don't really optimize that and make sure that your advertiser is optimizing it as well, and you have a good, let's say, response time, it will be very hard and you will really get a lot of waste on your traffic. You still have the lead, of course, but the first live post might be less hot than it could have been. Make sure you collect as much data as possible. I said it before, but don't just collect what one of the advertisers wants. Collect as much as you think it's important, and then just post what is needed by the advertiser. And then the most important for me is really when you do API, you post the user, the advertiser say, yes, I want this lead. And then you're going to open a URL with a redirection URL, and normally the user going to land into the members area. Now, some people often forget that this is part of your optimization. You need to ask your advertiser, okay, what are the redirection URL? Where can I send my user? Because maybe your user, you want to send him to the credit card page, you want to send him to the inbox page, you want to send him to a profile page, but you need to be able, by your advertiser, to send the user where you want, not just send it where the advertiser wants, because now you're owning your flow. And of course, if you don't send SMS, email, or if you cannot use data and you cannot sell data, just find someone reliable, because you will be very impressed at how much more money you can make with the data collected. That's it. Those tips sounds fairly easy, or I have some much better tips and much juicier tips, but those one I only give them if you come and talk to me and we can get something together. It's part of the sales job, I guess, which I'm doing. So I see Dana smiling about that, but I'm sure he will do the same. We are all salespeople, so we need to keep a little bit under the blanket to tease you in. So that was basically my my quick presentation about API against direct, I strongly advise you to push API because you will get better ROI, and you will also, when you exit and when you want to sell your business, you can sell data, not just like a business concept of media buying. You are selling something which is physical. And I guess that's it. Jay?
Awesome.
Dana?
William, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, man. Appreciate the presentation. I didn't really
Great. Okay, now can you hear the clap now? You got it?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the clap.
William, no worries. We have a couple questions that came in. Thank you so much for the presentation. Great work. One question, which targeting settings are more likely to use working with API? Which targeting settings are more likely to use working with API?
So targeting settings, tell me more about what you're thinking behind, please. Like, are you talking about specifically like choosing some browser, specifically choosing some device, or are you talking about something different?
That's for the chat. So if you want to chime in there in the chat and then explain a little more what you were talking about there. But we're going to move on to the next question. We have advised some networks that accept API leads.
Yeah, that's a great question.
This one, I am representing my own company. Giving leads to even if they are friends and I love most of them or a lot of them, giving them fresh leads like that, it's kind of hard. So as the person asks this question, come talk to me. I will see if I can set you up with us if you are like interested by my geo, and I will also see what I can do and help you. But openly saying that now, I'm sure everybody understands is a bit hard for me.
Of course, and we understand that.
So it's also something where you cannot go on Google and just type API dating advertiser and find them. So yeah, you need a bit of knowledge, but with a little bit of digging and asking your current account managers, I'm sure you will find some people. Bear in mind that most of the people doing API, they are not networks, they are directly advertisers.
Yeah. William, I've got a couple questions for you, if you don't mind. This is a simple one. What percentage of affiliates off the top of your head would you guess utilize an API in today's market? My guess is it's very small. You're probably less than 10%. What do you think?
Well, so if we talk about purely affiliates, so people buying media or people with their own social traffic, I would say like a third of them for me are using API. Right now. But if I talk about revenue and volume, like between advertisers, we work a lot more on API, and we work, as we all know, we all competitors, we also all colleagues and friends. So our volume of API, not in numbers of accounts, but in terms of the volume of revenue and the volume of like traffic, it's much bigger than that in API.
Interesting. Well, those are more significant numbers than I would imagine. When you threw out like 30%, that tells me that a lot of affiliates in the space are becoming more and more technically savvy these days, which is fantastic because it's only going to lead to more profitable campaigns in the long run.
Exactly.
To parlay off that, I really enjoyed your comments about collecting data outside of that required or requested by advertisers. What data management or CRM system would you recommend for tagging, organizing, and creating a flow like you described for email, push notifications, and so forth?
So before even talking about that, we need to know what we want to do with it, because like you can, if you have like, I can suggest a few tagging CRM, tagging system. I can suggest some CRM, but at the end of the day, you need to know what you want to do with this data. The cohort you need to build going to be very different from affiliate 1 to affiliate 2. Depending on what they want to do with it. If one of them want to just like keep posting leads to different advertiser, he might want to know, most importantly, let's say the email domains. If someone wants to actually himself try to cross-promote some other product, he might want to know if they're male or female or their age to know which type of product to promote. If someone is actually like looking only to reuse people which are paying, he might want to get a post back from the advertiser when a user pays and just like put those people into a different cohort, calling them paying users. So it's very hard to answer because it really depends on the strategy you're trying to build. I really like to in the game, I really like to segregate people onto people which were post and confirm the email, people which were buying, because there's really three different, let's say, category and three different quality of the leads. And then I really like to know what type of email domain they're having, and then what type of device they were first collected in, because the device is also very important. Device, not just as desktop or mobile. I'm really talking about, is the guy was collected on a Mac or Lenovo, so I like to collect like the device type of the users.
Great. And that's all for your own retargeting purposes, beyond receiving the initial lead?
Yes, correct.
Fantastic. For long-term profitability, William, you've been in dating for a long time now, and you've worked for a couple of different companies in the space. PPL, PPS, or rev share? Which direction are you going as an affiliate marketer yourself? A lot of people talk about the rev share model being profitable in the long term, but taking deeper pockets to build up.
Yeah, exactly. If an advertiser or a network keep telling you send me more traffic or give you a payout bump or whatever, it's because it's profitable in the long run. So you will be better off on rev share. The problem is not which one is the best. The problem is like not everybody can find like 100 grand a month or 20 grand a month or 30 grand a month and only getting 30% return on month one and 25 on month two, and then breaking, like, let's say being better off after like 3 or 4 months. It really depends. My strategy is always, like with people, is always to try to split. You can do some PPL or PPS. You do a good chunk on it, and you have some quick cash, and you also can monitor the campaign much easily. It's 0-1. You know if it works or it doesn't work on your buy, because on rev share you need to wait, and you can, no media buyer just spend $1,000, just send some traffic and then wait for 3 months to see if it's going to work or not. So you need to keep running the campaign. So start on PPL or on PPS, see if it's working or not, if you're breaking even, if you're profitable, and then start to switch some of your business on the same kind of flows and funnel into rev share. Because this, if you keep having like some quick cash, you can keep reinvesting more and more, but you put the bigger chunk, the bigger chunk or the smaller chunk, depending on your strategy, into rev share, and you're going to get a much better ROI on that, which is founded not by your pocket, but by the extra cash you're getting from the quick PPS campaign.
Yes.
So an hybrid model
like
for your business, it's, I think, the most clever way to do it.
And in order to utilize an API, as you had mentioned earlier in your presentation, it's really perfect for a pay-per-lead approach, isn't it? When you build that cascading waterfall with the leads that you're sending. It's probably a little easier to utilize an API for that.
Because the advertiser don't control anything at all on API. It's very rare and it's very hard to give trust to publishers, to affiliate, to give them API soy. Because the guy just, you're paying for a click if the guy is very dishonest. You're paying for fake leads, which a bot just posts. So it's very hard. But if you have good relationship and you start on PPS or on PPL DOI and you build up a trust, pay per post, it's a good way. For me, it's very risky. So I really like when people do API, I really like them to do PPS or PPL DOI. Because DOI is still like require an action which we control. Like he needs to click on his email, so we control something.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense. William, that's everything I've got for myself. Do we have anything else from the chat, Jay?
I was just going to say, I know, William, I mean, not necessarily to deal with the API, but dating, because I know you're a dating expert. Are you seeing much momentum on Facebook at all with dating?
We've seen it. Let's say we've seen it. It kind of went away and it's back now. I know, and I'm pretty sure in this conference, people are pushing dating with Facebook. I assume you mean Facebook campaign, Jay? Yeah. Okay. So I'm sure people on this chat are pushing Facebook campaign. It's something which we had quite some volume a year and a half ago. It's much harder now. However, what people do is, like, on one of my affiliates on API is actually pushing into a more, let's say, blog lifestyle type of thing, like how to date girls, how to kind of lure them into your bed, how to do well with ladies, and then on that he collect leads like, hey, receive my personal advice to really like be good with girls, and this he posts the API to us. So that's using one of the way people do API is by collecting leads via very mainstream very mainstream publishers like Facebook with a very mainstream approach, and then they collect the leads the way they want, and they post the lead, which is interesting one way or another into dating, and they post the lead to us. Yes.
So do you find any other social platforms thriving right now on dating?
I don't know. If you expect me to say TikTok, I won't, because it's very hard still. The audience is very young and it's very in and out, let's say. And the users doesn't seem to be that good, if I may, but I don't have a lot of experience. We still see a lot of Twitter. I know it sounds old, but a lot of like models and like some clubs and small, like let's say like naughty people have got their own Twitter and just like drive them to us. So Twitter is still working. Social is there. The most impressive or the most volume for us, it's still Snapchat, and it's still Facebook groups and Facebook pages.
William, as we've seen Google clamp down on the utilization of fake branding with a lot of the banners and landing pages, have you seen an impact as an advertiser in the amount of leads and traffic you've been able to garner and collect off your affiliates? And the cost of
of course. It was like affiliate. I'm always impressed by affiliate because they always find a way to get traffic. But the fact that we've seen a shift at this moment, yes, we did. The fact that more and more people are, let's say, getting savvy to bypass Google rule, it's also like the truth. But when like for about, I think it started to happen in, if I'm not saying anything wrong, in February, March. And the problem is like we also had at the same time COVID, which we didn't talk in this talk, but so it's very also hard for me to just attribute only to Google change, because it was such a massive change on COVID that you don't really know what impact what. And when it's only one variable in an equation, you can say, okay, this is changing, it's the fault of that. But when it's two variables in one equation, it's very hard to pinpoint which one is actually impacting the most. So I'm not sure.
Great. Well, William, I think that's pretty much everything we've got. We can touch, if you want, a little bit on COVID and what we had mentioned there. You said we didn't really talk about it or bring light to it. You find that there's a lot more traffic online on your dating sites as a result of the pandemic we face today?
Sorry, maybe Dana, I was not clear. Like as you know, English is not my first language, so sometimes I get confused. We talk about COVID so much that I'm not sure we should talk about it now. But
okay.
In the question
maybe
you mentioned,
I was distracted. Sorry.
Yeah, no. In the question you mentioned, so yes, it is more volume, and that's undoubtable. It's also like much less quality volume. That's for sure. We're really seeing the quality, which is very different. So it's very good. And I heard many people saying, it's great for us and whatever. And the second thing is that if this pandemic continue and we really hit the bottom about like economical crisis and whatever, people can come to our dating site day in, day out. If there's no money on the credit card, nobody will pay. And if we cannot, we are the advertiser, we're always the last person, which we pay for the ad network, for the affiliate, for everybody, because we are the one asking the credit card to the user. And if the user don't have any more credit card or no more money, all the funnel or the above kind of fail, and is no more money to pay for all our industry. So I'm very concerned about that, because if people start to have less and less money or no money at all on the credit card, it's going to be a big mess for all of us.
Well, William, thank you so much for your time today, man. We've got to move on, continue the day's schedule.
Thank you, guys.
Have the next speaker. But we really appreciate your presentation today.
Me too. That was great to be with you. And I'm sure we'll see each other soon when we can all travel again.
Yes.
Yes, we will.
Awesome. Thanks, William.
Take care, William.
Have a good time, guys.
Best, man.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.